Sawadee Kap, March the 7th. It is always better to imitate a successful man than to envy him. Topical again. I shall explain. Of all the negative emotions, envy is perhaps the most insidious. It is especially sinister because it destroys you from the inside by replacing all that is positive and productive with negative feelings of anger, jealousy, and despair. But when you congratulate others upon their success is, and genuinely wish them well, not only do you give credit to those who deserve it, but you also feel better about yourself. Once you've overcome your envy, you may want to determine what specific actions the other person took to achieve success. Meanwhile, you will have strengthened your relationships by recognizing the achievements of others. Okay, cool. Once again, this book, a lot of the days, not all the days, has put up a topic that I felt was, relevant to today. And once again, it could be as simple as, seeing the Volkswagen, like I talked about. You buy a Volkswagen Beetle, you see them on the road all the time because now you're aware. They've always been there, but you're aware of it. But I don't know. I see the parallels between what's happening recently with me and that. And that's, I put up a short video. I did go to the auction yesterday. Found 3 potential flips out of, 30 or 40 cars. It was a light auction, or Jeff called it junk auction, because there wasn't a bunch of 2020 and 2019 cars like there normally is, like there was with the motorcycles. Most of the motorcycles were a year or 2 old. So this one was a little bit older stuff, 05, 09, but there were some nice cars and trucks there. So I narrowed it down out of the 40 some odd cars and trucks to 3. There was a Mitsubishi Pajero, and Sport is like an SUV, leather seats, automatic transmission, very nice truck. And that was starting bid at 250,000 baht. So what's that? 7,500, 80,000. It's about $8,000 US. Nice truck, even though it was an 07, 09, something like that. It only had about, or just around 100,000 miles on it. It was like 150 or 160,000 kilometers, and it's 8 to 1, so yeah, about 100,000. But good shape. It needed there was dings. There was like a plastic trim piece missing on the on the side, a fender flare. There was it needed some work. It's at the auction, but it looked like a decent buy, and I liked it, and I could see myself driving the truck because right now, since I don't have a car, whatever car I bought there was going to be my daily driver, and I was like, yeah, I could definitely see myself driving a silver. It's a nice truck. That came and went, and it went from 250 up to 275. It got a lot of activity. My number, you always have a number in your head, and my number was 270. So the minute it went past 270, I didn't bid. And it went 270 rapidly, so I never even bid. I never even lifted my hand with my little card because it flew, and within 1 minute past what I was willing to pay for it, because it was older and had, relatively high mileage, 100,000 US miles. Second truck I liked was almost at the very end of the auction, and this auction, like most auctions, there's people who are one and done. There's people who come and buy a truck or a car early, and that's it. They've only registered for one car. They're not dealers, and they have one car in mind. They get their car and they leave. They're done. They can't bid anymore. So generally, the better bargains, where you're likely to get a truck or car for minimum bid, are at the end of the auction on the last row, because they go in a snake pattern, like a draft, NFL fantasy draft, down this row, down that row, down that row. So the Toyota truck, it's a pre-runner, 3-liter, 4-wheel drive, was the second to last vehicle, and I honestly forget why I brought my little book. The Bear Bears. No, I'm shirtless. Does that count? I actually brought a book. There's the Mitsubishi, 250,000 was the opening bid, 250,000 baht, 152. 200,000 kilometers, worth about 400,000 baht. So there was a little spread there. And then the Toyota was a 2005 3-liter, 168,000 kilometers. So once again, it's about 100,000 miles. 180. It started at 180, and it was worth about 290. So there was a little spread there with the, with the fees and everything at the auction. But I didn't get to the Toyota, which was second to last, because before that was a 2018. So where the other was a 09 and a 05, right? The Mitsubishi was a 2009, and the Toyota was a 2005. So between an 05 and an 09, I found an 2018 black Ford Ranger, what they call open cab, 2.2 liter with a 6-speed manual transmission. Most of the trucks in Thailand are manual. So finding an automatic is actually kind of rare. They are upper end, when you get a really nice truck or an SUV, it's going to have leather and be automatic. That's seen as a luxury here. Most trucks, especially working trucks, are manual, 4-speed, 5-speed. So the Ford Ranger was very clean, no body work needed at all. Was never in a wreck, wasn't in an accident. The ties, very smart, clever little ties, peeled down the rubber weather stripping to see if the frame has been, repaired or welded or joined together, because that's where you hide if you do a repair. So, learn something new. Pull the weather stripping down, but of course, ties being ties, they left it, so that's got to be put back up. The AC is blowing warm. It needs recharge and possibly has a leak. The airbag light is on, which is, I don't know if that's as simple as you've turned it off, because on a lot of modern cars you have a switch and you can turn the airbag off. People don't like them because they come out and they can get injured or burned or whatever. So I'm going to take it to the Ford dealer. It's missing one small little center cap in the middle of the rim, the stock wheel, Ford center cap. I'm sure the dealer has that in stock. And then there's the 2 corner triangle plastic pieces that go on the inside trim where the mirrors attach to the body. No electronics, that's down lower on the dash. So it's just plain plastic pieces, just 2 trim pieces is missing. So I'll get those at the dealer. I'll get the center cap at the dealer. I'll have them charge the AC, drive it for a while, find out if it leaks again. If it does, then I'll have to fix the leak. But long story short, the truck, not only was it 2018, it only had 8,000 kilometers on it. So once again, it's 5 to 8 kilometers to miles, so that's 5,000 miles US. So instead of 100,000 with the other 2 trucks, this one was going for 260,000 baht, opening bid, very close to the Mitsubishi, a little bit more than the Toyota, and it had a higher top end. Jeff looked it up on a site that he uses for a reference, kind of like a Kelley Blue Book thing, where but more like an Auto Trader thing. He looked it up on like a Thai Auto Trader website and came up with a number, for a 2.2 liter open cab manual. Those are going for 450,000 baht. Right, it's 15,000 baht roughly. So. Having that in mind, I was like, okay, I can go 300 and then plus pay the fees and taxes, and still, there's 150,000 baht cushion there, $4,500 cushion. That's plenty. This is the truck I want. This is my number one choice. So once again, I watched the Mitsubishi, but the minute it went above 270, I wasn't willing to go 300 on that one. I didn't bid. I never lifted my little card. I registered. I paid 20,000 baht. $600 to register and get a bidding card. If I hadn't won anything, they give you your 20,000 baht back. If you win something, it's the deposit and goes towards the vehicle. So the Ranger came up, and this is my first car auction in Thailand, but it's not my first auction. So I waited. I just waited, and it sat at 260 for almost a minute, which in auction time is like 10 minutes. I mean, it's just dragging on and everybody's looking around, looking at each other. There was a bunch of civilians in the little green chairs over on the right, and to the left was a bunch of dealers standing over where the cars were. The reason they're over by the cars is before they drive up the ramp and go up onto the auction block, they open the hood and you can see inside the car and inside the engine, and they start it up. So you want to be there to listen to the car and make sure it starts up and it doesn't run rough. It starts up right away, blah, blah, blah. Well, one of the reasons I got this truck, there's always a little bit of luck involved. And as the guy went along with his shopping cart, I shit you not, this is the way it works. He came along with a shopping cart with 3 batteries with cables hooked up from one battery to the other, so parallel, right? Series is when you go positive, negative, and join them. This is parallel, where they put positive to positive, positive to positive on 3 batteries, negative, right? And then they take the additional cables, they had 2 on the last terminal on the 3rd battery, and they put that on the car battery and start it up. And they go along car to car to car, 5 at a time, get them started, and then they go up on the ramp. Well, the Ranger didn't start. And what's weird about that is it looked like a brand new battery. Some of the other batteries you could tell were old and just you needed to replace them right away. Batteries go for about $80 here, 2,500 baht. So that's not that big a deal. It's it's more expensive than a Walmart battery for $60, but it's cheaper than an Optima battery for 150 to 200 bucks, right? $80. So that's not the end of the world if it needs a battery, and that's in my mind right away when it wouldn't start. I'm like, okay, hey, first thing I do is go from here and get a battery, right? Just put a brand new battery and I don't have to worry about it. But it was a Panasonic, which, they make the small batteries in America. They're a major manufacturer of car batteries here. In fact, I think Panasonic might be the stock battery for Ford here in Thailand, like AC Delco is for GM. So it looked new, and it had a little writing on it called 63. The Thais have a different calendar than America and most of the rest of the world. So right now it's not 2021 here in Thailand, it's 2564. So the 63 could have been, not 100% sure, but could have been 2563, which means last year, 1-year-old battery. And it looked 1-year-old. It was in good shape. Didn't have a lot of corrosion, wasn't old, it wasn't road wet and rode hard and put away wet. Anyway, they had trouble starting it. They bypassed it, actually went to the next car. So that's good, because instantly a lot of people were like, well, it doesn't start, I'm not going to buy it. But they did get it started by jumping it with another battery, yet another one. They doubled up and put 4 batteries on it, basically. And, in my mind, what I know about cars, it just sat for a long time. And that was supported by cobwebs inside the engine bay, spider webs and cobwebs. And just, you could tell the car had not been run in a while. And maybe somebody left a dome light on or something like that, or aftermarket stereo, and they wired it incorrectly. So it's always on and always drawing power, even a little bit of power. Over time, that will kill the battery. So it took the jump, it started, and that was good enough for me. The minute it started, I was like, okay, I'm going to buy that truck. And I didn't waver from my 300,000 baht, $10,000 US price. If it went, 5,000 baht over that, I wasn't going to buy it. I was going to go for the Toyota at the end with more mileage. But remember, that was cheaper, 180,000 baht. So it gets up there. I wait, being a crafty auction strategy, there's a technique to bidding in an auction, any auction, whether it's eBay online or the tax deed auction, in Duval County, or, car auction in Thailand. I waited to see who my competition is and what they were going to bid up and blah, blah, blah. Well, plus, if you bid first early, if they say, okay, 260,000 baht, and you go, oh, me, now you're going to pay more, because if there is one other bidder, boom, now you're up to, here it was 2,000 baht increment, so you would have been in at 274, so you just cost yourself 4,000 baht. By waiting, you could have got it maybe for one bid. You don't know until it goes back and forth. Some people are only good for one bid, only want it at one bid. When I go back to this auction in the future, that's what I'm mostly going to do, is one bid cars. And when I get one for one bid, there was a Chevy Cruze for 99,000 baht, $3,000. I absolutely. But it's clean, blue, doesn't get as good gas mileage. Chevy is not as popular in Thailand as Toyota and Honda and Nissan, the Japanese brands, but it was a good car. It was a good little runaround car. And, when I sell this truck, I bought it to sell. I'm driving it now. It's my daily driver. Yeah, I got wheels. That's awesome, but it's for sale. And as soon as I get the paperwork in my name, as soon as I get the AC and the other issues fixed, it's for sale. I'm going to market it in Marketplace, and however long it takes to sell, I've got a car. When I sell it, I'm back to what I was this week, which is carless. So I will go to another auction and probably buy another car, and that Chevy Cruze would have been perfect because it was $3,000 and it was clean. It wasn't a junker. It didn't have high mileage. It was a good little runabout car. Perfect. Exactly what you need. I am allowed to have 2 cars here at the condo. Found out last night when I pulled in with the Ranger. And that's it. I just have to tell security, and then I swipe in with my badge, and I'm allowed to have 2 cars here in the parking. There's plenty of parking. Due to COVID, there's a lot of vacancy, so it's not tight for parking right now. Eventually, that will probably change, but right now I'm allowed to have 2 vehicles. So I'll buy a second one, like the Chevy Cruze, something like that. That even might be up in the next auction because it passed. Nobody bought it for $100,000, so it'll be up for like $80,000 the next auction, which I think is next Wednesday. And I'm going to go because when I sell the truck, I want to have another vehicle there, standby, ready to go. So I'm not carless ever again. So the truck came up when she said going twice. I have very limited Thai vocabulary, but I know the numbers. I learned how to count to 10, right, like a kindergartner. And so I knew when she said Nung Song, right, song is 2. It was about to go, and Jeff was there with me. He's looking at me like, "Dude, are you gonna friggin' bid? It's about to go. It's about to leave auction without any bids." And I bid. So I was 260, but I waited, almost a minute, which is once again a long time in auction time, before I bid. Well, of course, I'm not that lucky. I didn't get it for 260. My bid opened the floodgates, and all of a sudden, online person. I took a video of the auction. I showed the process. There's a TV with the amount it's going for, so you can watch it. And when it turns green, that means it's an online bid. And there's 2 guys with laptops, and they're taking bids from people from all over Thailand, Bangkok, wherever they're at. They're fucking Isan out in the middle of northeast nowhere on the Laos border. There's a guy on his computer bidding on that truck. Now, the advantage of being on site is I got to see it start and run. And well, actually, that was a disadvantage because remember, there was only one other on-site bidder out of the 40 or 50 bidders that were there that bid against me because that truck had trouble starting. And that I knew that knocked a lot of people out. The online bidder didn't know it had trouble starting. So they were in a fight, and they bid me all the way up to 300. And there was like one person to the right of me over in the green chairs who also bid. So it was me online and an on-site. That was one of the more active bids going. And once again, you're talking about a $450,000 to $500,000, $15,000 US bought truck. So yeah, when it's going for 10 grand, there's $5,000 to be had there, and people wanted it besides me. Online guy, a guy or guys. I don't know if it was one or multiple. And, the on-site guy, whoever that was, dealer or somebody who wanted to drive it, somebody wanted their personal vehicle. I don't know. I didn't talk to the guy and find out, why you were interested in that truck. But he dropped out at 300 when I just kept raising my hand. I just, at one point, I wanted to show him I was in for the duration, even though I wasn't. And it took up to 300 for him to understand that I was just going to keep bidding. The people think in this country that we have unlimited money. Every Farang, every foreigner is like a doctor or a lawyer, and we got unlimited deep pockets. Obviously not true, but that they think that, and that was enough to get the guy to stop bidding because he realized when I, re-upped him 5-6 times, 2,000 bought a thing. We went from 260 up to 300. That's 20 bids. So 20 bids between at least 3 people. Say it's one guy online, one guy there, and me. I won it. And now, once again, there's fees. There's a 7% VAT tax, value-added tax. The government has their hand out. Hey, you did a transaction, give us some money. That's 7%. So that's 21,000 baht right there. And then there's a fee on the for the auction house. They're not doing it for free. The buyer pays a fee to the auction, not the seller, which is a bank. This truck was repossessed by Siam Commercial Bank. The paperwork had it. It had a little SCB, Siam Commercial Bank sticker on it, which I peeled off when we went to dinner. And so basically for a 450,000 to 500,000 baht. I actually saw one Ranger online for 600,000 baht, right? We're talking $20,000. So it's somewhere in that 450 to 600 range I'll be able to get once I fix everything up. It needs a few cosmetics. And like I said, the AC, the airbag light's on, but it hasn't been wrecked. I checked that. Clean, a deep clean. It's been sitting for a long time, so the interior needs to be deep clean, the exterior deep clean, polished, buffed out, which costs like, I don't know, 2,500 to 3,000 baht. So you're talking about $100, for a deep clean, $100 to $150 maybe for a deep clean, which is well worth it, and that's the thing. When somebody buys an almost new truck, 3 years old and only 5,000 miles on it, they want it to be spotless, and that's where you get closer to the 550 to 600,000 baht. When you get closer to 20 grand is when you have a truck that for all intents and purposes looks new, looks brand new. Long term, it's not my vehicle for two reasons. Number one, and I like it, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the hell out of driving it home last night, and having wheels felt so good. There was a little adaptation period because obviously the wheel on Thai cars is on the right hand side, what we would call the passenger side in America, so the stick is still in the middle, so I had a left hand shift. Now the last stick car I had was my Corvette. I had a black 04 Corvette. That was a 6-speed, and that was 3, 4, 5 years ago. Who the hell knows? It was a minute since I drove a stick. My last, the truck, the big blue, the giant F-150, this 25-foot friggin' truck, was automatic, obviously. And what was the other one after that? I had the Lexus RX 350. That was an automatic, of course. The BMW was an automatic. So yeah, it's been a minute since I drove a stick. So here I am on the quote wrong side of the road, right, with the steering wheel on the passenger side, shifting with my left hand. It was interesting. It was a pretty rough start. And the reverse. So normally you push down for reverse and then shift either over to the right and up, like on an angle, 2 o'clock, or to the left, 10 o'clock. Well, this one I did it and couldn't get it into reverse. But Jeff was riding with me, and because we were going to dinner to celebrate me buying the truck, and he figured out, because remember when he buys and sells cars all the time and rents them or whatever, you lift up the trim ring. There's a chrome trim ring on the top of the boot. You lift up the trim ring, and then it goes up over to the left. So once he showed me that, because I literally was like jamming down, push down, go over, try to go further left than first gear, and I just kept going in first gear. So the trick was to lift the little chrome trim ring, which I'd never seen on a vehicle before, and move it over to get into reverse. So like I said, rough beginning, but pretty soon, within 20 minutes, I was cruising down the highway at 100, 120, 140 kilometers an hour, just cruising, jamming. The AC, as I said, either has a leak or just need to be recharged, just leaked out over time. And so we had the windows open. We were doing what we call 2x100, right? It should be 2x60 air conditioning. Roll the windows down, drive 60 miles an hour. Well, here it's 100 kilometers an hour, right? It's same thing. Roll the windows down, get the fresh air, and I'm happy. I have wheels again, but yeah, it's for sale. Number one, if I buy this truck, I bought it yesterday, and I keep it, that doesn't give me working capital to build my car business. I want to go to that auction Wednesday and, like I said, maybe pick up that Chevy Cruze or a little Toyota Yaris, which is like a little Corolla, a little small Toyota Vios, or a little Nissan, a little runaround car. So I always have a vehicle, and the capital from that, that one I'm going to obviously pay out of pocket, but the point is to sell the truck for, say, 450,000 baht. I know I can get more, but just for argument's sake, I sell the truck for 450. I can go buy two nice vehicles there for 200,000. There was plenty of them out of the 30, and that was a small auction. Usually there's 200 cars or trucks. So it was a very small auction. It was relatively poorly attended. A lot of things came together for me to get that truck. But that's all I need. That's the seed money. I'm basically going to turn 300,000 baht, 10,000, into 450,000 baht. That's 13,000 or 14,000. Because 500,000 baht is 15,000. Because 30,000 baht is 1 million. Or 30,000, 1 million. So 500 is 15. So it's a little bit less than 15, but more than 10, right? 300. Oh, you see now 300,000 baht is 10,000. So half again should be 15. 30, 45, yeah. So 500,000 is actually more than that. Weird. Yeah, it's it's hard to do in your head. I have a currency calculator on my phone. I just plug the numbers in and I see what it is US. So it is 15,450 because, yeah, it's 150,000 baht. It's $5,000. So, yeah, okay. So anyway, I should be able to make it a $5,000 profit or more. Well, that's 5,000 I put into cars, what's I said? That Chevy Cruze, 99,000 baht, 100,000 baht, three grand, right? So with that $5,000, I can get two cars, sell those for, 40,000 baht profit, 20,000 baht profit, a little bit less than a grand, a little bit more than a grand, right? And that gets the ball rolling. That truck is the primer for my car flipping business in Thailand. So I'm super excited. I want to get that going. And, once again, just everything worked out. It was the perfect vehicle, low mileage, only 3 years old, in a auction primarily filled with 10-year-old cars. I found a 3-year-old one. Got lucky. Pure dumb luck that truck happened to be in that auction. And it didn't start, which stopped a lot of on-site bidders from going. And there was only one, maybe two people online who wanted it. So got it at a good price. There's a nice margin there. Happy, happy, happy. So once again, when I read that paragraph, yes, I'm sorry. Better to imitate a successful man than envy him. So I mentioned Jeff. I said, Jeff showed me how to do the reverse with the trim ring, lifting the chrome ring and putting it over. So Jeff went to the auction with me yesterday. His wife actually picked me up here from Central Festival because he had rented his car out for the day and took me down there to the auction. And then, he held my hand. He step by step said, you go here, go there, which, once again, we had done the other 2 days ago with the motorcycle auction, but, it's a little different for cars than motorcycles. They, a couple of different steps. But, and, his expertise in knowing what sells in Thailand and what things are worth and things like that was invaluable. So I didn't say, man, that Jeff, he's got it, man. I admire his business model, with his rental car company where he does mostly long-term rentals instead of day rentals like most motorcycle places here. And that business model, that being unique and delivering cars to the customer and picking up customers and bringing them bikes and things like that, going the extra mile. And he's available like 20 hours a day. It's brilliant. So instead of being jealous and envying him, I admire him. I'm emulating him, right? I'm copying his success. And remember with the flipping houses, I did that in America. Yeah, sure. But Jeff had done that here. He had actually flipped condos when he first got here. So exactly what that paragraph said, I did, in real time. And some of that was yesterday. So we went to Duke's, which is a high-end Western restaurant. They got 4 or 5 here in Chiang Mai. Very good food, very good portions, very authentic, Farang food. It's a treat, to go and have. I had baby back ribs that were delicious, fall off the bone, smoky, barbecue sauce. It's American, right? It's American cornbread, coleslaw, baked beans. Mashed potatoes and gravy. If you want an American meal, Duke's is the place to go. They got pizza, burgers, all kinds of stuff. So we went there to celebrate, and I took Jeff to dinner to thank him for his expertise. You see what I'm saying? It's just an attitude of gratitude. So we talk about all this stuff in the book, but you have to do it. You have to execute it. You have to live it. So that's it. Got my truck. Very happy. Starts my flipping business. Moving ahead full speed.